had a good time testing out your planks. That was so weighted in the guys' favour. I can't believe that. That was like a bitter challenge set from Nath. I'm sorry. Just couldn't believe that the women were whooping you all on your hot squats.
I want to know how long you can go for though. How long
plank.
can you plank for? Come on, tell us how long, because I'm intrigued to see how long, because I know some people can hold it for a long time.
Not me, clearly. What we got tonight? What's tonight's episode, Nate?
So we thought tonight, we've had some really helpful feedback and we want to really try and tailor the content so it is helpful. So tonight we wanted to talk about changing rooms and tactics, and just kind of think about when you're in a changing room, if you ever played in a team environment or sport, and if you haven't, don't worry. But if you think about it, when you're in different, depending on different seasons that you go through, different sports, you play in different changing rooms as you're playing different teams. And as you approach that changing room, how you approach it, you might have different kit, different things that you wear to suit the environment that you're going into, whether it's outside or the type of team, inside, outside. And then depending on how that game is going, you talk tactics, start of the game, half time, and then debrief at the end. And it's often to kind of help you win. And if you think about your relationship, we approach different seasons in our life. You meet, you fall in love, and then you might have kids, different work, you might move, family situations. You know, we all know that life can be like this, full of different seasons. But how we approach it and how we move forward through it and how we grow and learn is so important, because if you think about any winning sports team, they don't settle. They don't just stop where they are. They don't just kind of accept that that's my lot, that's how we are, and they always want to improve and keep moving forwards. And any winning relationship should be the same. So we want to talk changing rooms and we want to talk tactics tonight.
Come on.
Should we go?
Good.
Game on?
Game on. Okay, point number 1 is know the opposition. So in a changing room, you often are discussing your opposition. In a marriage, the opposition we're not talking about is each other, because we are not enemies of one another. We are on the same team. You win, I win. We're talking about knowing the opposition, knowing the issues or the weaknesses that might rear their heads in our relationship. So for us, after our little honeymoon period of getting to know one another, and
we all have them.
Honeymoon periods or weaknesses?
Honeymoon period.
Both. Anyway, so once we were married and we'd kind of taken the plunge into that, suddenly a few little cracks started to show in our relationship, and we found that we had quite different ways of managing conflict. So if there was an issue or an argument to be had, Nath would want to get to the bottom of it and be the solution right there. But if I was rattled by something or a bit stressed or cross, and Nath is questioning me to get to the bottom of it to try and find a solution, I couldn't cope, and I backed into a corner. I got really, really mad, and the number of times that I stormed out the house and drove off for a nice little mooch around next at home on my own, I cannot count on one hand. So that happened quite a few times before we even learned how to manage that. So the first thing to do is to identify some of the patterns of behaviour that are happening that then you need to work through. So know the opposition.
Point number 2, so trial and error. If you think about whenever you're facing opposition in the sense of the other team, not us, just to clarify again, let's land that point. Know the opposition. It's really important that when we come back in and we go back into the changing room and we have a team talk, often we can think something's not working, so actually there's an error, but we need to trial something new. And so for what Joy just talked about, when we had conflict and we wanted to resolve it in different ways, even though it took us a long time to even work out that was becoming a tension and an issue which can lead to more, it can spiral. Actually, what we did was we realised that once these things happen, we need to sit down and we need to communicate, and we need a willingness to learn and grow, and both of us. So we both need to be 100% in, not 50% each, is 100% in. And we need to lean into that and look at, what's the issue? Where's the communication breakdown? What is it that I'm doing and what is it that Joy's doing? And so often it was, I'd want to sort things out quickly and move on, but actually just giving Joy some space, but then actually talking about it after and listening and just understanding where we're both at is really important, because then actually what it does is it shows that we've got a willingness to get things better, and a winning team always does that. So don't settle. I don't want to settle for that's how we were whenever we have conflict. I don't even want to have conflict. We've always said, and you don't need to have conflict either. So have a willingness to grow and to learn through trial and error.
Okay, point number 3, switch play. So you've got a star player on your football team. He has been working like a Trojan all match, but right in the last minutes, he misses a penalty and the game is lost. Sometimes it's really easy just to focus on that one thing at the end that actually you've forgotten that player has run the furthest, he's made the most tackles, he's been brilliant in the right place on the pitch the whole time, apart from that final moment when it all fell to pieces. And then that's the thing that everyone remembers. And if we're not careful, we can do that in our relationships, can't we? We can have all these positive things happen in the day. We can work really hard for one another. We can be doing the best that we possibly can. But then we make one mistake, or we say one thing wrong, or we do something that's annoying, and the other person, all they focus on is that negative thing.
Yeah.
So switch play is all about actually looking for the good in the other person. And
That's
if
great.
if you think something good about your partner, say it. If you think it, say it. It's really easy for us to just nag and niggle at the negative things and to forget to mention the positive things at all. And I think what you find is the more appreciative you are and the more you notice positive things, you kind of switch your mindset. So it's not always looking for the bad, but actually always looking for the good. And it brings out the best encouragement, and praising one another builds value, is affirming for one another. It's just a brilliant thing to do in your relationship if you can. It just takes a bit of conscious effort at the start, and then it forms a new habit, and it is worth taking that time at the start to build that in.
Switch play.
Switch play.
So number 4 is player tracker. So much about sport, in any sport now, is about analysis, about review. It's about looking at your own performance, but also a team performance when you're reviewing the game or the games that you've been involved with. Mm-hmm. And this one's really about eyes on yourself. And so often what kind of Joyce has talked around there, and this kind of whole thing that we're looking around, looking for the good in others and looking for the good in each other. But actually through player analysis, when we're reviewing, is actually we want to be the change that you want to see. So often if you look at captains in the team, they're leading from the front. They're trying to show their team how they should behave, how they should run, how they should tackle, all these kind of things, because they want their team to capture it and go into together. Mm-hmm. And when we look at our relationship, I don't want to focus on what Joy's not doing, like she just said. And actually, if there's things that I feel like I want to help her with, I want to get down in the pit and pull her up and help her through it. But I want to do that through showing her the positive change. I don't want to focus on, hey, you keep doing this, you're letting this down, you're not doing that. That's just speaking negatively into her. Mm-hmm. Whereas actually, if I can try and be the change myself, hopefully, I think positivity and love is really attractive. And we've talked about before that the Bible is full of love and encouragement and life. And in the Bible it says kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healthy for the body. Who doesn't like honey? It's so sweet. So be through your player tracker, look at yourself and be the change that you want to see in your relationship. Number 4.
Okay, great. Point number 5 is the penultimate point. It's about coaching teams. So when you play a professional sport, you are always going to have a coach around somewhere who's going to be watching your play on the field, helping you with how you engage with your teammates. And it's going to be someone who knows the game inside out, who can give really good sound advice. And we need those people for our marriage relationships as well. We need to find people who can speak wisdom into the situations that we walk through, who maybe have been there before themselves or have been through similar things. You might even find you need someone different for this circumstance compared to this circumstance.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
It's really important that as a couple you identify those people who can help to coach you. And having a coach for your relationship is not having someone that you can just have a real good moan about your spouse to. Having a coach is having someone who is actually there to help you grow, to help you identify weaknesses and build strength in those areas, or to find ways and tactics to cover those weaknesses with other strengths, to help you work together with teammates. So you want someone who's going to be speaking life, not someone who's going to be encouraging sort of a bit of one-upmanship in your relationship, or they did that, so why don't you do that and get your own back. We don't want that kind of coaching advice. You want coaching advice that's going to help you both to win, because when one of you wins, the other one wins. So find those people, get around them.
Okay, I hope this is helping you, it's helping me just to hear this out again and just talk through it. So number 6 is long-term relationship development. Write it down. So in sport, for those of you that might work in sport, but for those of you that don't, there's something called long-term player development, which is very much a mindset and a practice where we look at developing the player over the long term. We don't just accept how they are over a number of months or years, it's actually over the long term. And that's how we should look at our relationship. When we get married or when we commit to a relationship, actually we should be looking at it for the long term. So all the things that we've just talked around in the other few points, it's not about actually, we're not seeing the wins, we're not working through it, there's not a willingness to learn, so actually none of this is improving, so we'll just quit, or we think the grass is greener on the other side. That's not the case. You'll just walk into the same thing again and again if you've not got that willingness and that long-term view. We talked around in a previous podcast around vision as well. Cast your eyes on the vision. And if you've got a vision, any sporting team has got a vision, they've got a goal they want to get to. And in our marriage, we've got that. And we've encouraged you to do that. And that helps you with a long-term win because you've always got something bigger to focus on. But we'd so encourage you with all of these points, and in your relationship, a you win, I win mentality is never about the short term. So yes, celebrate the wins, the small wins along the way, but always have a long-term relationship goal.
Come on. So there are our 6 pointers in the changing rooms, your tactics talk. So hopefully that's helped you guys have some things to discuss with each other and work through. Maybe you've got some ongoing issues and situations that you actually think we could talk this through and find some resolutions while the dust is all settled, not in the heat of the moment. And just to say, any relationship, just like any walk of life in business or anything,
Sport,
it's not going to be a straight line. You're going to see peaks and troughs. You're going to have seasons where things are going really well and other seasons where it feels like there's brick wall after brick wall.
Yeah.
But just a reminder not to have this expectation that all the change and compromise has got to come from your partner, but be willing to make some of those changes and to turn the magnifying glass on yourself and see those faults of your own, but also not to be so fixed that you think your partner will never change, like that's just how they are.
Don't accept it.
Actually give them an opportunity to grow and change. Don't speak over them that they're always doing this and they're never going to get that right, or always be willing to allow them the room to change and grow too, because that's what you want them to do for you. And if you win, they win.
And actually, as well, when you see something grow, like when we've grown through these things, so we've been married for 11 years, when we've seen each other get better, actually, because you're on a winning team and you want to get better, there's nothing better than seeing that. I'm sure most of you can relate to when you've seen things grow, or you've had a promotion in work, or you've won something in sport, or you've just achieved your own personal goal. There's nothing better. And that's absolutely have come through a willingness to learn. So put that into our relationships.
The reward is in there.
Come on.
Go through the trials.
So another COVID couples challenge is coming to you. What could it be this time? So good, guys. Have a great week. Whenever you're watching this, we hope it helps. Give some comments. Share with people. We want it to help relationships and marriages all across. And thank you for tuning in. We will see you soon, guys.
See you
Thank
soon.
you.